Today's episode of The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown is brought to you by Jeanette McKenzie, Realtor at Forest Hill Signature, and Jewelry Forever at jewelryforever.ca. Enjoy the show.
Broadcasting live from Glenmore Record Studios in Toronto, this is The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown, your Sunday morning talk show with interesting guests, live musical performances, and the most fun you can fit in your coffee cup. Hosted by Scott Dion Brown and Regine Alaina, this is The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown.
What a beautiful morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 156 of The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown. And I say good morning on this beautiful Sunday because that is the time it is for you if you're watching this live. But actually, it's not Sunday for me because we're actually doing this not live because at this moment I am in Vancouver, British Columbia. Ooh. And that implies that like I'm a ghost or something. I'm not a ghost. I'm not live right now, but I'm probably in the live chat. So hopefully I'll go, "Hey, good morning, Scott." Oh, Scott is in the chat. Hi. Yes, I am doing well. Thank you. Oh, great intro. Thanks very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. But anyway, all of you watching, hi. I am Scott Dion Brown, your host, and I'm joined by the greatest co-host in all the galaxy, the one, the only
Regine Alaina. Happy Sunday, everyone. And just like Scott, I am not live today because I'm at a PIDC event today.
Oh, well, there you go. That's but you know what? Through the magic of
Streaming.
Well, no, but we're not. But this isn't streaming. This is the
Well,
magic
we're
of
recording and then streaming.
Yeah, the magic of recording. This incredible technology. We are still able to come to you guys here in this usual time, 11 a.m. Sunday morning for the sit down. So, Regine, how has your week been so far?
So far, so good. Did you realize we've been on air for 156 episodes. We've only ever pre-taped 3 episodes. That's not bad.
That's not bad at all. So this is our third time only?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it's better to do it live. I mean, I'm not sure what it is. I think there's like an extra thing of like when you know that people are watching you do it in the moment, it just changes the dynamic a little bit.
But we're watching you talk at this moment, so what difference does it make?
That's true. It's live to you guys. But do you feel any different? Does this feel like a normal show to you?
You know what? For me, I feel different because I just did a full day's work, and then now I'm sitting here after taking a quick nap, and I'm like, man, is it Sunday? Or like, did I sleep that long that now we're into Sunday and I'm talking to you, Scott?
Yeah, actually, no. I think the fact that it's at a different time and a different time of day, this is affecting it. It does feel a little different to me, actually.
It's like I'm hungry. I'm normally not hungry during the sit down.
Yeah, I mean, I ate dinner, but I'm still. Yeah, I'm not in like the normal sit down mode. This is
And this is why we stick to 11 a.m. on Sundays every week.
That's right. Well, don't worry. We're in the live chat right now, and I'm sure in the live chat, I just feel completely normal. I feel normal anyway at that time.
Scott's in the live chat. I will not be in the live chat. I'm sorry, guys.
Because you're at an event right now. Exactly. You are at an event.
Isn't that weird to be in an in-person event? You traveling? Like, what is this?
Yeah, that's well, I mean, you're gonna have to tell me what that's gonna be like. We're surrounded by
I'll be surrounded by musicians again. I have not been surrounded by live music in 2 years.
You're gonna have to give us all the updates on our next show, which will be live. That show will be live. Regine, why don't we bring in our guest?
Yes, because she's live with us today.
She is live. Not live for you, but she's live for us.
She's in the chat. She is live. She is alive.
Okay, now you've put her in the position that she has to make sure she's in the live chat. Uh-oh.
No
Well, make sure
pressure.
you... Well, I have her bio. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is a Canadian actor, acting coach, and mom of 2 boys. Although she began her professional acting career in theater, her main focus since 2017 has been television and film. Her credits include commercial campaigns, TV episodics and movies, and feature films. When she's not on set, she's busy raising feminists, deep diving into personal development, and motivating fellow actors to follow their dreams. And you can catch her in the upcoming Lifetime Christmas movie, Candy Cane Candidate, airing December 20th, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm sit-down welcome to Jinny Wong.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Welcome back. This is your second
Thank
time
you.
here.
Yes, and I think it's almost been a year. Not quite. The last time, I think it was the beginning of this year, January 2021.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, that's true, because we had Michael and Nightingale for our Christmas special, and then we brought Michael back on with you as well for The Only Asian. So here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah. Speaking of The Only Asian, at the time that movie was getting a lot of attention at the time. And how did it go after the show? I think there was still a bunch of more festivals for it to screen in, right, around that time. So how did that go?
It went great. I mean, that poster, it's just filled with laurels, which is
Wow.
I mean, when we made it, we had no idea that was going to happen. And what's funny is, sort of the joke about The Only Asian was that Michael and I got the same agent, and now we're going to be competing for the same jobs, but it wasn't going to be, because he's a man and I'm a woman, and that wouldn't happen, not today. Mm-hmm. But we've been actually going through some of our bookings, and we've realized that we've definitely been going for some of the same spots, like whether it's TV, film, or commercial campaigns. And some of them he's booked and some of them I've booked.
And I wonder how many of those Scott has booked too.
Or maybe we're going out for, maybe. Because I guess there are roles, especially commercials as well, I guess, where they don't really specify exactly what they want, and maybe they're just looking for who fits it, I guess. So
yeah.
So you go.
Yeah. So it's funny. Yeah.
So the film is even more apt.
It's even more accurate. Yeah, absolutely. Which I don't know if it's funny.
I know now
if
that
it's actually
you're
funny,
saying,
or
I'm
if
like, is that funny?
That's the point. That's the point. Yeah. It's like, it's funny when you think of it, but also makes you think.
It's funny that it's all three of you who, and probably even more like Timothy, I'm sure is also the same situation.
Yep.
But now if you look on TV, there is a person of color, there is an Asian person, a Black person, anybody is now on these commercials, and I'm like, yes, bring on all this representation. Because I know as a kid I was like, I want to be on, I remember wanting to be on Barney, and there was Min, who was this little Filipino girl, and I'm like, I want to be just like her. I never made it to TV, but I mean, that shows that a 4-year-old wants to be that one person, and that represents who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. It the influence is real, right? Like you look to these things, and you don't really know why. You don't know why you're drawn to it. You can't articulate it. It's just a feeling that you get. And yeah, absolutely. Like I would say this year and last year, I have been really busy. Like the opportunities that I've had just to audition, I mean, it's been amazing. It's been really, really awesome. I've definitely seen a change. And even previous years, it was like you might get the BIPOC, but they were never the lead. You're lucky if they were supporting, or if they were the lead, it was definitely paired with a white person, right? I think we actually talked about this, Scott. We were talking about, there was another movie that I was auditioning for, and I was auditioning for a supporting role, but I was playing the sister to the lead.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, but are they really going to make the lead an Asian male? And it was like, was it going to happen? But this year, I know that there's been several like movies of the week where so Candy Cane Candidate is about an Asian family, and the female lead is Asian. She's Chinese, I believe, Jackie Lai. So, things are definitely changing, and that's not that's one personal example, because I actually was on set and I was working with, it was like a whole family, and I was the sister. But I've seen other movies where it's like, wow, it's like both the leads are BIPOC. Mm-hmm. So change is happening. So that's very promising.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It definitely feels like it's, I don't know what to say. Have we turned the page? I mean, I guess there's still work to be done, I guess. But it's I guess it's important that people are having the conversations. Mm-hmm. I mean, to be honest, I don't always agree with how the solutions are implemented every time. Like, it's not always like every instance that people bring up, but I still think it's important that it's an issue that's on people's minds, that, at the very least, you don't have to have a default that's one thing anymore, mm-hmm. right? Like, mm-hmm. if you're writing a story or creating something that takes place like in a major metropolitan city in North America, there are lots of types of people there, mm-hmm. and so, just cast a wider net. That's exactly what I would like.
But it's interesting because as a non-actor, I didn't realize that this is actually happening until I heard about your movie, and I was like, wait, what? But it makes sense. But I'm just glad to hear that you've been booking more gigs and making more appearances, because that's great.
Yeah, it's been a really, really great year for me. I know that there's a lot of things still happening with the pandemic and stuff, but for me, especially with the self-taping, I've done about 200 self-tapes this year. Wow. And I've been lucky to be booking like a good, obviously not 200, but a good portion. It's just from this year, from last year, the difference is huge. And I also think, like, yes, there's definitely work still to be done, but I think it's always nice to celebrate the steps that we're taking and that we're moving forward. And when you see something, it's like, oh, rather than always harping on, it's like, well, it's about time. It is about time, but it's also like, great. Like we're moving towards something, and eventually, hopefully we don't need to have these conversations, and it'll just be normal everyday life.
For sure.
I agree. That's amazing. I'm glad to hear that you've been 200 is a lot of self-tapes. That's really good.
How about you, Scott? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think I'm at I don't think I got to 200. I mean, I haven't actually been counting, but there's nowhere that it's 200. But
I mean, you're on people's TVs right now, Scott. What do you mean? With OLG, yeah.
Well, yeah, I know, but I mean, extra auditions is what I mean. But that's really good. Have you? In fact, I can't remember if I asked you about this or if we talked about this last time. But now that you've done 200 self-tapes, how do you feel about the self-tape? Are you eager to get back into like going in person for auditions, or could you stick with the self-tapes forever?
I'm good with the self-tape. I mean, I think that's part of it, right? When you had to go in live auditions, you would have to pick and choose. It might take you an hour to get to one side of town and then another hour to get to the next. If they're at the same time, you can't say yes to both. Yeah. Then you have to strategize. You have to pick, which one do I want more? Which one do I have a better chance of booking? There's all this stuff. But now I'm just like, great, I can do 4 self-tapes, in one afternoon. I submitted 2 today. You know, some of these self tapes, some of these commercials, the spots, it's like it's for the same commercial. I don't know, Scott, if you've seen this, it's the same commercial, but they'll have you audition for like
Different parts,
2 or
yeah.
3 different parts.
Mhm.
And it's like, you know, if this was in a real live situation, you'd probably have to go in at, you know, 9 for role A, then you'd have to wait another 2 hours before you get to go in for the second one. And like your whole day would be sitting, waiting in the waiting room. Now,
Yeah.
you can just bang them off if you know, if it's like a one-liner, if it's SOC or whatever, you got it all done.
Yeah. I've got to be in agreement with you. I don't, yeah, I've said this already on this show multiple times, is that the only thing I don't like is I'm not a fan of the Zoom live audition. I don't really like that. Just because well, for starters, like how we're talking right now, there's always that slight delay. It's hard to have a dramatic scene with a reader if they're kind of on a camera, and you know, not a fan of that. But self-tapes, I definitely like them. I just like that you can do as many takes as you need. And I also think I've actually just become a better actor doing self-tapes, because you get to see yourself on camera and actually see what you look like, you know? Like like I don't know, have you found as you do the more you do them, you found you need less and less takes? I found that to be the case.
I definitely think so. And I also I try to give myself a limit. You know, like I try to do it in 3 takes, because beyond that, you're just like, you're just driving yourself crazy. Because by the end, if you go back and you try to pick the take, it's like, well, this one was better here, but then this one was better here. Then like, you're never going to get that perfect all throughout take. Like if you can't do it in the first 3 goes, and
it's not for you.
It depends, right? Right. Like it's not working. Or what I do is, if I keep stumbling on something, you know what? I need to just stop. I need to go back and like do the work, because there's something I'm missing. If you know, it's either I'm stumbling over the words because I'm not getting a transition, or I'm not really understanding it. Like if it takes you more than 3 takes, and of course, sometimes, you know, it's a technical issue where you flubbed one word or whatever, and you just want to start over. That doesn't really count. But, you know, if it's taking you over and over and over, it's like, you just need to stop and like figure it out. What is it that's not working here? And then start over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've almost found there's almost a part where you have to get where it's not like a I don't care type thing, but it's almost like have you ever found, I even found this more before the pandemic, but it applies to self-tapes too a little bit, where I used to find if I was really, really like either not nervous, but more like if I don't know, put a lot of, okay, I got to get in there, got to make sure I do this perfect and get into, and, you know, I find that almost makes you worse in the room. But if you can kind of get to this moment where like maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't, I'm just going to go and I'm just going to do it. I found once I managed to get myself to that point, I found I auditioned better. And with the thing with self-tapes is I found, if you keep, so you'll do it once and you'll do it a second time, you do it a third time. If you keep doing it again, you're like, I didn't like how I said this word. I didn't like how I said this word. Oh, maybe, I could have said this. Oh, this part was good. This part wasn't. There's almost a part where I have to get where I go, this one is fine. You know what? It's fine. If they, because this little word wasn't said exactly the way I was going to say it, one, they wouldn't know that. But like, I feel like this is enough that they can see what I look like. They see what I sound like. It's fine. I'm going to send it. I find getting to that point is like the key. I don't know.
That's what you haven't submitted to.
It takes a while.
I guess not. I guess not. Maybe that's it. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
You just got to let it go. Like one of my favorite sort of, I guess, analogies is like, it's like if you're playing tennis, right? You're doing your drills, you're practicing your backhand, your forehand, you're running, you're doing your side steps, whatever you do. But then when you go play the game, you can't plan every move. Mm-hmm. You're just going to have to wait for your partner to, you know, hit the ball and you see where it is, but you know how to do the backhand, right? It's like, you know the line, but depending on how your reader is giving it to you, you might say it differently. True. The energy you're getting, it might be different. So that's sort of the analogy that I try to do, where I'm just like, you know what, it wasn't how I planned, but yeah, this is good, because if I keep doing it, you're just gonna drive yourself crazy.
That makes sense. You've basically done the work in advance, that when you actually go into the moment, you're ready for whatever comes your way, basically. Right. And I guess maybe that can apply to self-tapes in that, because I find, not by design, although I really like actually what you said about giving yourself a limit of 3. I wonder if I should try to do that, because
what's your limit?
Well, I don't have a limit, but I have found not much. It's usually around 3. What I usually find is I'll do 1, and then I'll go watch it, and then I'll see like, oh, actually, wait, you almost like see the first one to see what you shouldn't do, or like, oh, okay, wait, now I see what I look like. Okay, I'm gonna do it like this, and then usually by the second or third one, you've got it. Because I found once you get beyond that, they start to get stale for me anyway. They just start to. They don't. I think because dialogue is supposed to sound like speaking, right? I find there's an element of spontaneity that could get lost if you say the same line a million times, because it starts to feel almost not
scripted.
Maybe, yeah, I guess that's what it is. It starts to feel scripted. I mean, it is, but so I do find that, but I like that idea of leaving it with 3. But anyway, I guess what I was trying to say was the thing to learn from doing the work in advance and kind of taking it to the moment in the room. You can apply that to self-tapes in that, if you keep doing them over and over and over again, you're what am I trying to say? Anyway, I think I already said it. It gets stale, and it's better to just you lose something if you do it over and over again.
Yeah, so. And you're not really doing yourselves any favor, because at some point, if you get a call back, it's going to be live Zoom or live in person possibly, and you're not going to get all these takes, right? You've got to,
more.
Right? Be like, no, I need about 8. So this is
I'll get it at the 7th time.
Yeah, there's no warm up in real life. So, or if you book the job, God forbid, you book the job and then you show up on set and you're like, oh no. So when I did it, like you just got to try, like you kind of have to, you got to know your lines, and then you just got to be like, it's in here, and you just got to trust yourself and you do it. And, yeah, because when you're on set, you don't get that many tries, especially if you have like a small role. They'll just be like, we'll get your coverage later, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh, I'm just a voice in the background.
That was my biggest shock when the first time I was on set for a TV show, is that you basically get once. You get one take, and the only time you really get another one is if you like completely messed it up, right? And in fact, I remember that the first time I was on set, I think I told this story before, but it was a while ago. But it's like before I was on set on a TV show, all they'd ever done up to that point was commercials. And on commercials, they make you do it like 8 million times, to the point where it's almost the exact reverse problem. Like with commercials, they're like, try it, then you had your arm like this, have your arm like this. Okay, now smile less. They're trying everything for their client or whatever. So I was expecting, like when I did the first take of this scene, that we were gonna, I don't know, they'll give me the director would be like, okay, now try it, right? It's like, nope. On TV especially, because the budget's smaller, so they're moving quicker. It's like, okay, cut, great. Okay, we're flipping the camera. So like really your only take, you'll probably do it a couple times, but your close-up, there's probably only one of them. Because the other times you're doing it, they're facing the camera at somebody else, or it's the wide or something.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. You got one chance to like make that edit, because they have the wide, they've got the reverse. Hey, if the other guy looks better, you're just not going to get your screen time, right? Like you're fighting for your screen time, and exactly, like unless you're like the lead, the director doesn't really care. they're not giving you pointers.
Yep. Yeah, in fact, that's the thing. I've realized, because before I was acting and did some TV stuff and things. I remember like shows like say Law and Order, or like any of those sort of episodic weekly TV shows, and sometimes you'll see like the smaller part, and like I don't even want to say that the acting was bad, but sometimes you see how the line was delivered and you're like, oh, that was kind of like almost like it stands out a little bit. But what I've realized now is I actually have a lot more sympathy for those types of actors now, because it's probably that exact situation where like they were brought in, maybe that's one of their first acting jobs, maybe that's their first acting job, and the camera gets put on them. They did their take once, and now it's in the show. Because yeah, unfortunately, you're the person we're interviewing this person because they're telling us where they found the body. Okay, great. Now we're moving on to the important scene. You're just establishing the location. You're establishing this thing, and now we're moving on, and that's all they get because they had to move on. So
Yeah.
You got very
That's the
passionate
reality.
there, Scott.
well, it is. It was a lesson. It's like a thing that
Are you still hurt?
you learn.
Yeah.
Um,
But
Oh no, I would say
I
I,
was just
actually,
gonna
I think I
say-
did a good job.
yeah.
But continue, Jenny, continue.
yeah, no, I was just going to say that, being a day player, it's also really hard because everybody else has chemistry. Everybody knows everybody else. Everybody knows how they're going to say things. They probably got to run their lines in their trailers with each other. And then you're just showing up, this random person. You got your one line and it's like,
Yep.
not guilty.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, did I like quaver there? And people are like moving on. And you're like, wait.
Yep.
Everybody's already laughing and giggling, everybody's like, oh, giving each other high fives. And you're just like, okay. They're like, you're done now, Jinny. You can go.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
You're not guilty.
Yeah, it's the
I'm
thing,
not guilty.
Yeah. Like I remember when I got there, I walk on, and that's the thing. They were like, in fact, that's the thing that was interesting to watch, and like sort of touching on it. I've realized now that the actors I think that the ones that have real longevity, especially in TV, they seem to be the ones who they get really good at nailing it in that first take or nailing it in those first few. And I feel like that must be how you kind of build it up, because like these guys, it was so cool coming on set and watching them. It was my first show that I was on was Frankie Drake Mysteries, and I did the scene with the lead and like her mother as well, like not a real mother, but her mother in the show. But like watching them work, it's like I was there for my one scene and I had to show up at like whatever, noon or something, and I was talking to them, and they had been there since like 4 or 5 in the morning, and they had been shooting different scenes all day. And then leading up to that scene that we were shooting, like they were running the lines for that, because it's like this is almost the first time they've had to look at this scene, because they've been shooting every other scene all day long, and now they're just going to land it, do this scene, and then move on to the next one. So yeah, it was
Props
cool
to
to watch.
them.
Yeah. But
I've actually heard that, sometimes you show up to an audition and they'll purposely give you something new to like cold read.
mhm.
And they do that. The reason why they do that is because if you are on an episodic, like you're getting, like changes are coming at you, and you have to be
Yep.
able to memorize them and do them on the spot, because they're going to change.
Yep.
And that's part of like, what you're auditioning for.
Yeah, that makes
So,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I remember years ago I took a little, like a class specifically. It was run by a casting director, and it was specifically designed to help actors like learn how to audition. And that was the thing he was always pushing. He was like, you should imagine your audition from the moment you walk into the door to the moment you leave, is all of it is a performance in itself. And he said, because you want to look at it that way, because as you walk in, they're not just judging how you do the lines, but they're judging how you are, because they're going to have to work with you as well, right? So they want to actually see, okay, this person can do the scene, but can I work with this person for 8 hours, 12 hours, weeks? So
Yeah.
lots to learn.
They're watching. Everyone's watching you.
Yeah. So yeah, my thoughts. I like the self-tape. I love the self-tape. It's great. And for everything that you said, I agree. It's like you can do 10 in a day. I mean, that's a lot, but you could do 10 in a day if you had to, right? No travel, no waiting rooms, none of that stuff. But I think if once all the restrictions have been lifted, I feel like maybe they'll probably go to like self-tapes for the first audition, and then maybe like in person for like the second, or like the callbacks and so forth.
Yeah, and that I don't mind, because I've got like a pretty good shot. They want chemistry. They want to see how you are as a person. But I don't know, because I think it's saving casting tons of money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? So I don't think that they're going to be too eager to go back in person either, because I mean, they get a budget as well, right?
Yes, and not just a budget, like they can see more people as well.
Yes.
Because in person, like that's the thing. When I shot my my first short, no, when I shot the second one, that's when I had auditions. It's like I put out the notice for these auditions. I get all these people submitting, and then I look at, okay, great, I have 3 hours rented at this location that I'm going to meet them all to audition, right? And suddenly I just looked at it, I'm like, you do the math, and you're like, okay, so I can see this number. That's it. You know, whatever. I think it ended up being 60 people, I think I was able to see.
Wow.
I can't remember.
Which is still a lot, but
it's a lot, but it was
For 3
way
hours.
more. It was way more than, way less than submitted, right?
Mhm.
So even if I got, 61, I mean, if I got 61, I might have made room. But like, let's say you get 100 people you'd love to see, but that you just physically don't have time to see them all because you have to factor in all of their time of, But with a self-tape, I mean, you can take a look at every single one. That you can look at as many as you want. So it gives you more flexibility. So
Yeah, for sure. So I think self-tapes are here to stay. But yeah, I do think that if it's going to be callbacks, or sometimes you get second callbacks,
Yep.
And those hurt. Those hurt when you don't book them. You're like, come on, I put in time.
Yeah, you get the second callback, or then you get on hold. You're on hold.
Oh, I've been on hold. So you track your auditions, right? You track your auditions, you track your holds,
Well, my agent just tells me, like, she'll be like,
Okay.
okay, Scott, you're on hold for whatever this thing is.
Well,
What does
I
being on hold
track.
mean?
Oh.
Sorry, what does being on hold
Okay.
mean? I'm not
You're
an
like-
actor. Somebody tell me.
On hold is like basically on hold is so let's say you were supposed to they're shooting on this coming Friday. On hold, basically they're like, don't book anything, keep your schedule open, because it's like between you and like one other guy, or it's usually something like that. So like you're like, if you're on hold, you're like you're in the top 2 or 3 usually, right? That's accurate, right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I would say like 1 out of 4 is probably, like, quarterfinals is like the most. Yeah, quarterfinals, semifinals, like, yeah, and I've had quite a few of those. There was one where I was 1 out of 4 to go to Greece, and I didn't get it. I was like, come on, out of all these self-tapes, right?
Yep.
It got narrowed down
200.
and then narrowed down. But that's part of it, and you can't you can't dwell on those, and I think that comes with practice.
Yep.
Of just like letting it go, and because I know some actors are just like, don't even tell me that I'm on hold, just tell me when I book it. Because it's too much to be like, what is the point of me being on hold? Because
Do you like to know if you're on hold, or are you one of the ones who doesn't want to know?
No, I like to know, just because, for scheduling purposes, right? Like, I
That's
think
fair.
if I didn't have like a family and I was just, I wouldn't care as much. But like, I kind of need to know, like, do I need childcare? Do I need to find somebody, does my husband like have to stay at home possibly that day or whatever, right? Like, does he have to do pickup? Stuff like that. There's organization. And that's why. But if it wasn't for that, I think I'd just be, but and again, like, I've just kind of, you get kind of used to it, and you're just like, okay, it's in my calendar. I put it in there on hold. It's in there, but I'm not, there are some that, you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so, like, the Grease one, I really wanted. Every once in a while you get one of those where you're just like, I want it. This year I actually had one where I actually booked. I really wanted it. I was really nervous. I booked it, and then 2 hours later they canceled it and said that the clients changed their mind. And I was
That's
like,
not cool.
That's
that
the
one
worst.
hurt.
That I feel like
That's
that.
terrible.
That's that has not happened to me yet, but that sounds, because that's the thing. I've gotten
rude.
used to. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like what you were just talking about. I've gotten myself into a place now where even if I hear on hold, I still kind of in my mind almost assume that I don't have it. Like, I'm kind of used to the idea now. Like, I do the auditions, I do the self-tapes, I send them off, and I kind of just think about it as like, oh, that's my job. My job is to make these self-tapes and send them off, right?
Yes.
And every now and again, I get a phone call that says, hey, guess what? You get to go be on a movie set, But really in my mind, I'm like, that's a maybe. But if I got told I got booked it, because then at that point your hopes are up and you're like, I did it, I'm doing this, and now you're not. You take those mental blockers down. Oh
Yes.
man.
Yeah, your safety net, it was like gone. I was like posting about it, and then but you know, I did do a post. I was just like, you know what? I don't know why this happened to me, because it just seemed like everything was working, but I don't know why it happened. But I just did a little, you know, it was like cathartic for me. I did a little live about it, and then a bunch of other actors came out and they're like, you know what? It's happened to me before. You know, or sometimes it's something like the budget. They ran out of budget for production.
Yeah. And
they had to cancel the whole thing, or it's like been placed on hold indefinitely, or, you know, like, so it does happen. And, you know, lesson learned until you're on set. Because I was talking to someone else who is a more seasoned actor, and he's like, oh yeah, he's like, unless I'm on set, it's not mine. And I'm like,
wow.
Well,
now I know.
now I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, it's tough. It is a tough occupation we have chosen for ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that's not mine. No,
you gotta have yeah. You have to have a glutton for punishment. You just gotta. But that's the thing. I do think, like I was saying, that kind of, I don't really, not a no care attitude, but kind of like a, I'm just gonna go in and do it. Like I think that's part of it as well. Like. The only thing I do find myself getting in trouble with is like, if a part comes across that, like, especially I read the sides and I look at it, I'm like, you feel like you got it. You know what I mean? Like when you're reading it, you're like, this is made for me. Like this is perfect. I know I'm in this character's head. This is me. I would be perfect for this. And then you kind of start like imagining like yourself in the role, and you kind of like start living with the idea that you got it. That's always, you know, I have to temper that, but every now and again a role comes along it's not even that it's a juicy role, although usually it is, but it's more just like, you know, that if they gave it to you, you would like just smash it out, you know?
Oh yeah.
So that's
I'm still holding it. Like there's like this one that I auditioned for. It was for a Netflix movie, and it was like the description was like, cheery wife, like, you know, she's kind of clueless, she's a little bit, you know, naive, but she's like overly nice, and she lets these like criminals into her house thinking like she just got tricked. And I was like,
I could see you doing that.
I'm like, that is me. I was like, that is me. I'm like cheery. I am all kinds of cheer. Everybody tells me I'm too cheery. I'm like, this is me. So now, and of course I'm pretty sure I didn't get it because it's already shooting. But I'm like, who did they cast? You know, but I mean, it comes down to a lot of the times names, right? Like, so sometimes it's almost like hurtful, because it's like, I don't know if I'm actually, like, if you're really looking for like somebody fresh, or if you're just trying to get some fresh faces to like mix in there, but really you already have, you know, the people that you really want, that you've known from before.
Yeah.
But it's the chance that you take. You gotta do it, right? I'm lucky enough and you know, blessed enough to get the opportunity to read for those. So
I was gonna say, you should check in with Michael and see if he's on set right now.
Did you book the wife role?
Are you the cheery?
Did you turn him gay? Did you turn him gay?
Hey, you never know.
I know.
Where are you? Michael, where are you right now? Tell me where you are right now. No.
Are you on set? Are you working with Netflix?
Yeah.
Let's do the ads quickly, and then we're going to come back, because we've got about, let's say, 20 minutes or so left.
Oh, wow.
This conversation, it makes me so happy that because we really got into it just now, and that's my favorite type of show. But let's get the ads out of the way, and then we're going to come back. So, ladies and gentlemen, today's episode of the Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown is brought to you by the following fantastic advertisers. They make the show possible. People, the Toronto real estate market is growing and changing every day. And in these challenging times, you need someone in your corner. Jeanette McKenzie, Realtor at Forest Hill Signature, is committed to looking out for you. She'll go the extra mile to ensure you have all of the information you need to make a decision you can feel confident about. Purchasing a home is one of the biggest financial investments you'll make in life. Don't leave it to chance. Call Jeanette McKenzie at Forest Hill Signature. She's my realtor, and she could be yours. Call today at 416-523-0408 or email at JMckenziehomes@gmail.com. Jewelry forever. Conveniently located at CF Markville Shopping Center on 5000 Highway 7 East Markham, they do custom-made jewelry, repairs, and change watch batteries, all done on site. Jerry at Jewelry Forever is an absolute artist. He specializes in making beautiful custom pieces. And we have a great deal worked out with them, don't we, Regine?
We do. If you go into the store and let them know that Scott and Regine sent you, you'll get 15% off your entire purchase.
That's right, 15% off, 15%. And it's a great place. Talk to Jerry, mention the show, 15% off. Find out more at jewelryforever.ca. And it was brought to you by Deliciousness Treats.
Hot chocolate bombs just in time for the snow, dipped Oreos, and smash cakes. We actually this weekend have a Pink Friday sale, so all orders are 15% off. That includes your Christmas orders. Ooh. So people, if you want to order your Christmas treats, make sure you reach out to us on Facebook at Deliciousness Treats and Instagram at Deliciousness_treats. Also note that the deadline for Christmas orders is December 12th.
December 12th. Get those orders in, people. I will be placing my order soon, Regine. You'll hear from me very soon. Deliciousness
Take advantage
Treats.
of the deal.
There you go. I will. Deliciousness Treats, everybody. Sweet treats in a mug. And if you would like to advertise on the show, it's very easy, right, Regine?
It's simple. All you guys have to do is email us at radioshowad, that's radioshowad@gmail.com.
That's right. We do this show live every week, everybody. Not today, but it's pretty live. It's live every week at least. And what does that mean? It means that you can personalize the ads week to week. So do you have an event or sale or something happening at a particular time in a particular place? You let us know, and we let your potential client base know in real time. It's an amazing way to build a new relationship with a potential new audience. Get in touch, radioshowad, radioshowad@gmail.com. And we're back. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just tuning in, we are here with actor Jinny Wong. So you began your acting in theater.
I did. I worked on Disney Cruise Line for a few contracts, 3 contracts, and that was fun. It was sort of like being in college on a boat. It was
That's cool. So what did you do?
I was a character, and I did the shows. I did the shows nightly and took some photos with people as
Cool.
a character. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. I don't want any Mickey Mouse liability.
Okay,
yeah,
got
makes
it. Makes sense.
But I know I've talked to people. I'm not sure if they've done. I don't know if I've talked to people who've done specifically Disney cruises, but I know people who work the tours. So you're basically on the boat for like a really long time, right? Like the tour is several. Is it several months? How long is it when you're out at a time?
So the average is about 6 months, but for some reason, every time I signed on for a contract, it always went longer. So the first contract, something happened where they couldn't get the next crew like up and running, I don't know, I can't remember anymore, but I stayed on the absolute maximum, which was 8 months. That's like the absolute maximum amount you're permitted to live on a ship. So that was 8 months. I came back, they immediately offered me the next contract. So I think I had 5 weeks at home, and then I was back in rehearsals, which was in Toronto, which was nice. And then I was back on the ship. I did 7.5 months. And then I was like, I'm not doing this again. But then I came home for a few months, and then they contacted me again, and I was going to say no, but they were like, we're going transatlantic. We're going to go to the Mediterranean. You're going to spend the summer in Italy, France, and Spain.
You're like, okay, sign me up.
I was like, okay, one more contract. And at the end of the contract, because you sign like an exit form, and I was like, don't ask me back, because clearly I can't say no, and I don't want to keep doing this, because it really, you can't do anything. That's you end up in this cycle, because every time you leave, when you come back, you don't have an agent, you're just out of touch with everything. You don't have a job, you don't have anything, and you're kind of like starting over again. So you're always going to be in this situation where when they call, you've got nothing going on. So you're just like, well, all right, I have nothing going on. I've got to do this, right? Or you get into that mindset anyway. But by the third contract, I had saved up some money, and at that time, my siblings were starting to. They were married already, but they got married, but then now they're starting to have kids. Like, things were just changing. I had been gone for a really long time at that point. I was just like, you know what? I need to just hang tight and figure my life out. So that's why I stopped doing it. Wow. And it's sort of just like a love-hate relationship, because when you first get on, because you live in this tiny little cell
literally
with someone else, and you're just with the same people all the time. You eat with them, you do everything just with the same people.
Yeah, you live with them. Yeah.
You live, and there's no commute. There's really no time away. Because even if you go to the gym, it's the same people. Exactly. So, but yeah, it was a wonderful experience. And I still have friends that I made on the ship. So I still got my ship friends. So that's great.
That's cool. It's so funny, because when you said you were in theater, I thought like Broadway or like New York, and then you're like Disney Cruise. I was like, oh. That's cool.
I wish. That was quite the letdown, wasn't it?
No, but that's cool. Like, hey, Scott and I are fans of Disney, so when you Disney Cruise,
Regine especially is a super Disney. I
am. Yeah. So you said, like, I would die to be a Disney princess, but then you're like, oh, you lived my dream.
Well,
but you're not really.
Sometimes it was a dream. Yeah. It was just like I'm by the third contract, I just knew. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna get on the ship. I'm gonna hate it, because the rehearsals was always on in Toronto. So like, they give you a condo to yourself. They pay for everything. Somebody comes and cleans it for you. You go to rehearse. You walk to rehearse. Like, everything's wonderful. Then you go on the ship, and you're in this like cell. And then you're like, oh my God, I hate it here. And then all of a sudden you get into the group, and you're like, oh my God, this is the funnest thing ever. And you're like, this is amazing. So many new friends. And then you love it. And then you get to the point where you're just like almost near the end, where you're just like a few more months left, and you're just like, I'm so sick of all you people. I can't wait to get off. And then at the very last, like 2 weeks, you're just like, I'm gonna miss you so much. I'm gonna miss you so much. I can't believe we're gonna be friends forever. So there it is for you, in a snapshot of what it's like.
It's an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, it's a very unique. It's a very unique lifestyle that I think a lot of people will never really know.
No one knows what you went through except those people on those ships with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
And I know actually a lot of people that started out, being characters or and entertainment, and then they moved on and they became officers and cruise directors, and they've just and they kept doing it. So some people just really kept going with that life, and they were really into it, because it's a lifestyle. And then for majority of the people, I would say they just had to get off that merry-go-round, because it's too crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's like you were saying, once you you literally can't have anything else going on, right? Like you can't, you're basically doing the cruise thing, and then that's kind of all you can do. And not even just work wise,
Yeah.
but I guess family wise or any of that other stuff as well, right? Like I guess I assume people can't bring families with them or anything, right? It's not like that type of thing.
I mean, they can visit, but what I found are the people that end up staying on there are the ones that actually met their spouse, and they both work on there. And then eventually, a lot of people, they move to Florida where the port is, and then that, you know, a spouse will live there with their children, and then the other one goes and cruises, and then but every week they come back.
Huh.
So you kind of see them once a week. And then, I mean, after 6 months, then they're home for, you know, however many months that they decide to take for their vacation. And then they kind of go back. So I know there are a couples that work that way. But
so they kind of built,
mean, it's not really.
Yeah, they kind of built their lives around the cruise life.
That's interesting.
Yes.
But I have a question. Now that you've done that and you've been on that merry-go-round, are you still a Disney fan? And would you ever bring your kids on that cruise?
I really want to bring them on the cruise. And you know, nobody, because people are like, oh, Disney World, Disneyland, it's the same thing. It is not the same thing. The cruise, I will tell you, it's just because you're on the ship with there's only, you know, maybe 1,000. Now they've got larger ships, so maybe even like 3,000. But you know, you've got 500 kids most, but you have the same people that see them all the time. So there's relationships that build. Like I remember so after my first contract, I left. When I came back, there were packages for me because guests who had met me, and you know, and they sent me stuff, and eventually we actually became Facebook friends, which was kind of weird. But you know, this little girl, she was just like, you know, I want to get in touch with, and she was like, she was in it, and she was writing me, and I would send her stuff back, and we had this like lovely relationship. And you know, you get that personalization on the cruise ship that you won't get at a park where there's just millions of people.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands a day, and then, you know, over time, like, you know, their schedule, like, or whatever, like you have no idea who it is.
That's interesting.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked you about theater, because that was really
too.
cool. That's a really cool experience. That's awesome. I did want to ask you a bit about, I saw on Instagram, you're doing a series now called Actors Who Book?
Yes. So I started an account that is called Actors Who Book, where I'm basically just really zeroing in on my experience as a commercial actor and like my one line, like my actor roles, like these small roles that I've been booking, and the self tapes, like I've done over 200 of them, and there's just a certain rhythm, and like I'm getting it. Like when there's an SOC audition, like how to play that out, and you know, these one-liner actor roles that you get, and you're just like, what am I? Because most people are like, I don't know what to do with this, because how am I going to get a backstory? Like, how do I insert my backstory into this? Where are my beats? Yeah. Right? Because any acting class you take, most of them, they give you, you know, 3-4 pages of sides. You're breaking it down. You're writing your beats. You're doing all the stuff. But when you're just starting out, you're getting one line. So what do you do with that one line? So because I'm still like in that, I thought that I would start sharing some of the tips that I have for people that are just breaking into the industry. You know, because I know that on my one Instagram is sort of more my general one, and I know that there are seasoned actors, you know, more seasoned than me, right? So I kind of really wanted to make a separate account for those that are just starting out, because I was starting to get DMs from people that were like, I'm just starting out, I'm a new actor, like, what do you think? I'm not getting this or I'm not getting that. And I was just like, you know what, there's a need for this because people are reaching out. So anyway, that's why I started Actors Who Book, and I'm offering coaching as well.
Nice.
Yeah, mainly for people that are just starting out and just figuring out the business, even the business side of it, little things that really help, like tracking your auditions. I started doing that, and not only do you understand like how many you've done so that you can celebrate yourself, right? Like there's so much no that we get in this industry that it's like you've got to recognize that like all of these were yeses because they didn't have to see you, right? Like you said, sometimes even if they could see 1,000 self-tapes, they're not sitting there watching 1,000 self-tapes. How are you going to get in that 100 before they're just like, I can't watch another self-tape. I can't watch another person, say, hi, how can I help you? I can't do it, right? How do you get in that mix? But yeah, so while I'm still trying to up level myself, right? I'm trying to break into the supporting roles, the lead roles, and I'm lucky that I'm getting those types of auditions. I'm trying to up level myself, and I'm following my own coaches that are trying to get me to that next level. Before I forget all of this other stuff, I figured I should share some of it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think it's really invaluable because you're right. There's not a lot of, like, it's true. You wouldn't even think to contact like, oh, I'm going to hire an acting coach for this audition where like, I'm just picking up a cup and then like putting it down or something. But you think that's so much, like you said, there's a huge amount of like your initial roles, one line or sometimes no lines. And like, how do you, as you're just going in, how do you even know what they might be looking for if you don't know what to? I think that's a great idea. That's an invaluable resource that you're creating for people.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I hope so. I hope people see the value in it. Some people have reached out and they've asked questions that because who else are you gonna ask? Like sometimes you're not gonna call up a casting director and be like, so exactly what do you mean by this? Or there's just some questions that you're just like, I don't know who even to pose this question to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so me. You can ask me.
where can people so you said this is a separate account on Instagram, so where can people find it?
Yeah, so it's at actors_who_book.
Perfect.
And yeah, that's the best way to find me. And you can DM me. I'm putting out reels, little tidbits here and there. And I actually started. Somebody approached me and she was like, I love what you're doing. I want to contribute. And I was like, why don't we do an interview? So we did an Instagram live. She was wonderful. Skywalker Hughes. She's a young actor, and she's like booking stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to take some tips from you because you got this big role you got this series regular role. I'm eyeing. I'm trying to get what you got. Yeah.
So links are in the description. I know because now that we've talked about it, I put it there. So it's there now. That's really cool. That's awesome. And okay, we're just about out of time, but this was a fantastic chat. Yeah, go.
It was. I was just gonna say that we never addressed that we're both in the Swan dancing.
Yeah, dancing through the shadow. You know what's weird? I don't think I saw you at the screening. No. I didn't see you at the screening. That's right. We both went to a screening, and then I don't think I realized you were in it until I saw your posts after the fact. Because we're all masked, right? We were all wearing masks. Because we're all wearing masks, right? And we weren't there on the same day. Yeah. So we're both in the film. The full title is now Dancing Through the Shadow. Yeah, is that right?
I think so. Dancing Through the Shadow. Yeah. It's changed a few times.
Yeah, exactly. When they were shooting it, it was called The Swan, and then they changed it. But yeah, I didn't realize that we were both in that film until I saw you posting that you were at the cast and crew screening, and I was like, I was at that cast and crew screening, but you know.
Scott,
Yeah,
there seems to
I
be a
think I-
trend here. Sorry. No, we had someone on our show a few weeks ago, and she's like, "You were my teacher." And he's like, "Oh."
But that was the same problem as I was teaching a class. I don't know if you've done any like teaching or like, you know. Anyway, I was teaching a drama improv class, but it's so strange standing in a class full of masked kids. Like you're just sort of looking, and I'm like, I don't know who any of you are. So you're just gonna go. Just come up and do it. You know, 8 people. Okay, if you haven't gone, come up. If you have, okay, great. Now, has everybody gone? Because I don't know.
So if
Anyway.
you didn't see me, like if you didn't know I was in the area and I had a mask on, you wouldn't recognize me.
I mean, you can usually tell. Like, I feel like I'd recognize you. Like if I saw you, right? But even then, like if it was a crowd of people, no. But you know, it's like you know.
We'll test this theory. Sorry, Jenny.
Anyway.
What were you gonna say?
Well, anyway, yes, we are both in the film dancing through the shadow, which
Yes.
yeah, which was a lovely filming experience. I mean, for me, I had a great time on set. It was good. I liked it. Did you?
Yeah, it was great. So did you go to North Bay or were you shooting
Yeah.
in Hamilton?
I was in. Did I shoot in him? No, I was only in. Oh wait. Okay, wait. Let me think.
You did go up north once. I remember you saying
Yeah,
you were going
I
up
went to-
north for.
Yeah, so I remember when I first got cast, there was going to be part of it shot in North Bay, and then there was going to be a part of it shot in Asia.
In Taipei.
That's yeah.
I was never going to go to Taipei. I was only going to be in North Bay.
I see.
And
'Cause
then,
COVID,
then
yeah.
things got shut down. Yeah.
Yeah. So then what they ended up doing was, yeah, they were going to shoot my part in Taipei, and then that got canceled, and then I think everything was up in the air for a while, and I think there was like, I think they weren't sure when things were going to reopen, so then they were like, anyway, so what they ended up doing was shooting a part. They filmed it all in Canada, and now that I'm thinking about it, that must have been Hamilton then. Maybe the second place was, I can't remember now where exactly it was, but it must have been Hamilton because you just mentioned it was in Hamilton. So the answer is I was in North Bay and Hamilton.
It was quite the journey.
Yeah. I have like a good memory for some things, and for some things I have a great memory, but for other things I have a terrible memory, like really, really bad. So this is one of those things where like I need like a kickstart. Like somebody needs to be like, no, you were there, and I'll be like, I was? Oh yeah, I was, and then I'll remember everything about it. But like I'll forget that any of it even happened until you kind of like I need a little like what is it? A kickstart. Like you just gotta
Jogging.
go like,
Yeah.
jog it, and then I'll go, oh, get the wheels turning.
That is true. I could attest
yeah.
to that.
Have we heard anything else? I know that I haven't heard anything since that screening, but have they said anything about release or anything yet, or not yet? I guess. Have you heard anything?
Not that I know of. I know that Leaf had submitted it to many festivals that we were hoping to hear back from. So I'm guessing nothing has come to fruition of that yet. But yeah, so we'll see.
We'll wait and see. We'll wait and
Stay
see.
tuned.
Stay tuned, people, because I would like to go to some more. I like going to festivals. I'll go to a screening. I'll go to another screening.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
You
we'll
just
do it.
won't know who
For
people
sure.
are because they're all in masks.
We're all in masks. Yeah. I mean,
Well, so it depends. If we go to a screening, I don't know, in Florida, people
Then
won't be
there are
in
no
masks.
masks.
they won't be in masks.
You won't have
Yeah.
an excuse.
And then Ginny's gonna be right there, be like, "Hello,
Hello,
Do
you'll
you
be like,
see me?
I don't know you.
who are you?"
Yeah, it's like, no, we've worn so many masks now. I can't recognize faces anymore. It's
Even though
permanently
she's been
changed.
on our show twice without a mask on, guys. Okay?
Good point. Good point. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll figure it out when we get there, people. But
Yes.
before we say goodbye, then we talked a little bit about it. But where can people find you? Where can people follow you?
So I've got 2 Instagram accounts. One, my general one, is at Jinny Wong on set. And my other one that's more focused for people that are trying to break into the acting business is for actors_who_book. And that's where you'll find me.
Perfect.
And her movie's coming out.
Oh, yes, of course.
Oh,
Yes.
great.
Plug that
People
in
can
really
see
quickly.
you on December 20th. What do you want me to say it?
Candy cane, yeah, candy cane candidate on Lifetime, and it is there is a major Asian representation in that, so
Yes.
that's great.
There you go.
You
Check
know
it
what I'll
out,
be
people.
watching.
December 20th, 2021, the Lifetime Christmas movie. There you go. Regine, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on my YouTube channel once a week for the pageant sit down. Yeah, go follow, go subscribe. The link is in the description. You guys can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at It's Regine Alaina. Again, links are in the description. But if you'd like to continue to follow my pageant journey to the Galaxy Pageant Crown, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Mrs. Galaxy Southern Canada 2022. And Deliciousness Treats, because we do have our Pink Friday sale. Scott, where can people find you?
Find me right here where you're watching this very video. YouTube.com/Scott Dion Brown. You can also follow me on Twitch and DLive, but YouTube is the best place because we'll say this episode, for example, it's not on Twitch or DLive because it's a YouTube premiere. So you're watching it just on YouTube. Or you can also listen to it on Spotify. And you can also follow me here on Instagram and Twitter at Scott Dion Brown. But YouTube is the best place because that's where we have the most fun. You get the live streams, you get the vlogs, you get the songs, you get the comedy sketches, and of course you get the sit down. So youtube.com/Scott Dion Brown, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. And we'll see you all live in person. Actually, no, not in person. Live. Next week.
We're not going in person because Scott keeps traveling. So Scott, I hope you are enjoying Vancouver at this very moment.
Yes, I think I am. And I'm up at 8 a.m. to be in the live chat, chatting with all of you.
Hopefully it's not raining while you're there.
Apparently, they're forecasting rain every day. They're forecasting rain every day, the entire time.
Bring a poncho.
Bring a poncho. That's right. Jinny, again, thank you so much for being here. This was really great.
Lots of fun, as always. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you all next time, everybody. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.